Welcome to another episode from Gal Yefet podcast. Today we are with Ami. Now, Ami has been a real estate broker here in San Diego for the past, I want to say 11 years. How many?
About 11 years, yeah.
11 years, really nice. And today we're about to learn a little bit about Ami's journey, a little bit about San Diego, and what some people who are interested into buying or selling in San Diego should be aware of, and maybe some fun notes on how San Diego changed in the past 11 years. So, Ami, thank you for joining.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. So, I typically start with people to know them as an individual. So maybe we can start with where everything started. You know, like where are you born and raised?
Okay. Well, I was born in New York.
Okay.
Many years ago.
Okay.
When I was 5, my parents moved to Israel.
Okay.
And I grew up over there.
Nice.
Came back to New York in 94.
Wow.
Yeah. So my whole childhood in Israel.
Okay. So, and what part of Israel did you move to?
Jerusalem.
Nice. Yeah. Okay. So Jerusalem at that time, was it like, same thing like today? I know that the stones are like really nice and everything, but was it like more authentic, like more like?
Yeah, I don't recognize Jerusalem now when I go.
No way.
They built so much. They have tunnels. They have overpasses. I mean, just the roads are different. So much more building than when I was growing up. So very different.
Cool. Do you still, when you visit, do you still go to the food market in Jerusalem? Like, there's any place you like to go back and check?
Yeah, Shuk Machne Yehuda.
Nice.
I love it.
I'm sure. This is why. But like, except the market, is there anything else that you like to go back to and visit in Jerusalem?
Yeah, I love Jerusalem. I love the old city of Jerusalem. I love the history. When I go to Israel, I definitely love Tel Aviv. I love the beaches. You can't beat the beaches of Tel Aviv, except in San Diego.
No way. Okay. Yeah, there is something to it. I mean, the surfers will say that San Diego is like a high priority.
But the beaches in Tel Aviv are amazing.
I'm sure. And then you grew up in Israel, in Jerusalem, and always stayed in the family in Jerusalem, right?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. And then when was the time that you moved here to the States? Yeah,
so in 94, I had a lot of family in New York that I didn't really grow up with, didn't know very well, and I just wanted to get to know them a little bit and just see what happens. I was American and just wanted to see what New York was all about.
Okay. What was your age when you moved to New York?
I was 22.
22.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, the big city.
I'm in a big city. Okay. Yeah.
I heard that things were used to be very different and cheaper in New York City. Like you can go out with like a few single dollars and you can buy some drinks and stuff like that. Is that true?
It was totally different. Yeah. I mean, I remember, a cup of coffee was like 70 cents. You would give them $1 and get change back.
Now I give the credit card because
now you probably have to mortgage your house to buy a cup of coffee.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And then how many years did you spend in New York City at that time?
Yeah, so I really didn't know, what my plan was. I said, let me see if I could get into school. So I got into Queens College.
Nice.
And I spent 4 years in Queens getting my psychology degree.
Very cool.
I thought I was going to take a totally different direction, but you never know where life's going to take you.
Okay. I mean, I think they say sometimes on, like a real estate broker, like you are some sort of like psychology.
I'm 100% a psychologist.
For yourself, for the buyers, for the sellers, for their loved ones, for
I'm having phone calls sometimes at 11 o'clock at night with people talking them off the ledge. So.
Wow. Okay. So it's a good skill to have.
Yep.
Okay, so after 4 years of psychology in New York, what was happening next?
Yeah, so I got recommended to an internship with an ad agency, and I landed up being in the media industry, buying and selling ad space, on TV mostly.
Yeah. Okay.
For about 7 years.
Okay.
So that was a good experience.
Like a cubicle, 9 to 5?
Yeah, I was a 9 to 5. I really discovered I'm not a 9 to 5 kind of a guy.
Okay.
And in New York, it's never 9 to 5 either. It's long hours. It's weekends. It's stuff like that. So
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Are there any like fun activities you're enjoying New York City or at the tri-state area in general? Like any memories?
I love New York City. I wouldn't live there again because of the weather and the pace over there. But I loved it. I lived in Manhattan for about 3 years,
Okay.
and that was some of the best years of my life. I mean, just
Okay.
I was in Midtown in a great area. I used to walk to Central Park. You know, clubs, restaurants in your 20s. It's a great place to be.
I can imagine. That's
Yeah.
that sounds fun. And that was selling, buying media for quite some time. And then what? What happened next?
And then I decided to move to San Diego in 2007.
Okay.
And my industry was really New York based, so I had to figure out something else. And I opened a retail business here in San Diego.
Okay.
So it was definitely, I wasn't limited to that, New York corporate life anymore. So,
That's really cool.
yeah.
But then you moved to San Diego. It's a big difference from New York City.
Huge.
How was culture shock? Like driving, right? Because you didn't drive in New York, so like now you're driving and everything like that. Anything else that kind of like shocked you?
So towards the end, for the last few years, I was living in New Jersey. So over there, I was driving, but the driving is totally different. Here it was way more relaxed. There was back then in 2007, really not a lot of traffic.
Really?
Way fewer people in San Diego.
Okay.
People kind of discovered San Diego after COVID, but
no way.
But it was a different place. Yeah.
Okay.
I fell in love in San Diego. I can't see myself living anywhere else. I love this place. I think any place that you go to, it takes about 2 years to really adjust. To get to know your favorite restaurants, beaches, places you like to hang out, stuff like that. But overall, I'm in love with this city. So
I can imagine. You stayed for quite some time.
Yeah.
So things changed. You mean like that means like it was like you said, like less traffic. But was there any like something positive about it? It was more relaxed. It was not that intense.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, in New York, there's an energy that's very stressful.
Yeah.
You feel it. It's in the air. I mean, you have to walk a certain pace, otherwise you get run over.
Hey, I'm walking here. It's like
exactly. Here, I remember walking down the street, and even in the supermarket, people would say hello to me, and I thought they're like weird. I'm like, why are people talking to me?
Yeah.
Why are people smiling at me? And they must be crazy, And then after a while, you realize that people are just really nice here and very relaxed and just a totally different vibe. So
I can totally relate. My experience was that suddenly I drive into some neighborhoods and people just like wave at me while I drive. It's like, okay, that's really nice and welcoming. I didn't have it in New York. Like people would like bump shoulders, like move or something like that.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, here, all my neighbors say good morning. It's just a great place to be.
Nice. Okay, so the retail business goes for 7-8 years, something like that?
Yeah, about 8 years. Yeah.
Okay.
Retail got tougher and tougher. As now with Amazon, retail is not. I'm sure people do great in retail, but back then it was time for me to call it quits. And I knew I always loved sales. It's something that I did for a long time, and I loved real estate, and it just seemed like the perfect fit.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how did it start? Like, did you start like in a specific like small office, boutique office, a friend of a friend? Who got you kind of like into the?
Yeah, so I had a friend who did real estate for a couple of years back then, and she recommended an office that's not around anymore.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
And it's hard work. I mean, people don't realize. I mean, you're coming in, and it doesn't matter who your friends at first. They don't. You haven't sold a house. They're not going to use you for that first, big purchase that they're going to do. So, it really takes a while to break into this industry. So, my niche was really open houses. I just did a ton of open houses.
Okay, for other agents.
For other agents, that had listings, and I held open the house for them for a few hours, many times, at least twice a week. That was my whole weekend, and that's how I got my first clients. And then when you start doing sales and you start, promoting yourself, and I closed this, I sold this, I sold that, then he's working in it and he's selling, and he knows what he's doing. So,
But it was very different. So now everyone, I see, some agents, they promote on Instagram, on Facebook, all these places. People were not on Instagram much or
no,
Facebook. So
no.
where would you say that you sold?
Yeah, I mean, Facebook was starting,
Sorry, okay.
so I would post on Facebook as much as I could. I joined groups on Facebook, like the Israeli group in San Diego, and,
Yep.
and I got a lot of my business from there.
Nice.
My neighborhood group, like Scripps Ranch or Carmel Valley or stuff like that. You join these groups, and every once in a while somebody says, can you recommend an agent?
Nice.
So.
Yeah, it's a great way to be. I think that time Facebook was much more connected and people kind of sharing and things like that. I think now with the competition, it's crazy. Like people on YouTube, on Instagram, on Facebook, on TikTok. Like there's so many places to be and promote. Like in one way, it's good. You get more exposure, but at the same time, everyone are posting, so it becomes like a lot of noise. You don't know how the difference between someone who's actually knowing the business and doing the business for quite some time, or someone who might look good and present themselves really well, but they're like, no deals this year or last year or before. So it's a good
exactly. Okay. But yeah, some people are really good, on Instagram and on video. I'm not great. I do it. I force myself. But you got to do it. You got to promote yourself.
But it's also something that it will get better, because if you think about the beginning, right? So you did like the open houses, and then you got some clients, and now you do the videos, and like in a year from now, you'll be like, oh yeah, I talk openly about all those different things in the market. I can share all those things. It's more like second nature, not as a struggle. So like, what got you to even start? Like, is there anything that you're like, what? I see my future. I'm going to be successful in it. I saw other people doing it, or like, I really love the interactions with the people. Like, what got you into?
Yeah. So, it's funny, but, just watching real estate shows on TV, I think a lot of people are drawn to those shows.
Okay. I just know about the $1 million listing. Is there other shows that I don't know about?
Back in the day when I started, it was more like HGTV, fixing up houses, flipping out, shows like that. And I was very drawn to that. And I love sales. I love working with people. I'd say, my favorite thing in the world is to give somebody a key to a house. That's
nice.
To see that big smile on their face is a great thing. I love working with sellers where, everybody's stressed. And if you could lower their stress level and just make it an easy process for them, or as easy as possible, that's really a huge satisfaction for me.
I could totally get it. Are there any like ways that you've seen that other people are doing it and you do it as well? Like, I don't know, like if it's like a grabbing coffee in between, reduce tension, or like having some dinners in between, because it takes quite some time to buy a house. So.
Yeah. I mean, I just closed a deal with a client that I think we worked together for about 4 or 5 years until we found him the house. It's just they just never. I would show them a few houses and they would disappear for about 6 months, and then I'd show them more houses, and it just went on for a few years, and they finally bought, so you never know. You got to stick with it.
A few years?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Are they local?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I'm very available on my phone. I think that's key. That's something I hear a lot from my clients, is that, I answer my phone, and if I'm in a meeting and I can't answer, I'll usually text back, I'm in a meeting, I'll get back to you. So at least they know I'm alive, I'm around, they have, I'll be there for them. And, I explain the process. There are a lot of words that get thrown around in real estate, like, contingencies or comps and stuff like that people just don't understand. And I understand that people don't understand, so I explain it.
Makes sense.
I try to explain the contract. I think things changed a little bit pre and post COVID. Pre-COVID, I would meet people in the office all the time. Or at a coffee shop, we would sit down, and really go through things. During COVID, just wasn't possible. So
what happened if they're not able to come to your office? Would you meet them in a Starbucks or something?
Yeah, either meet them at the Starbucks, or you would literally just meet them at the first house that you're showing them.
Okay.
We were all wearing masks back then.
Wow.
And they had to sign all kinds of forms, about the dangers of COVID, and
What a way to start a
It,
relationship
it
while
was
you
a
started showing the
very,
house. Like,
yeah, it just changed everything, the way people worked, I think.
mhm.
There was no more putting people in the car with me. They drove their car, I drove my car.
Oh, okay.
Now I started getting back to putting people in my car, but for a few years it was just not, we got away from that.
So maybe you can take us a little bit about you said pre-COVID or COVID
Mhm.
situation. Like, can you tell us a little bit about how was the market then
Mhm.
compared to now?
Yeah, so I mean, San Diego was just way more affordable for people back then,
Mm-hmm.
pre-COVID.
Okay.
Post-COVID, it still became very affordable. The prices rose
Mm-hmm.
significantly, even doubled in a lot of neighborhoods.
Mm.
But the interest rates were so low that the monthly payment, and that's really what determines your ability to afford the house.
Mm-hmm.
The monthly payments were a lot lower compared
Okay.
to where we are today, for
Because
example,
of the interest rate.
because of the interest rate.
So
I
give me an
mean,
example. Let's say like a $1 million house, for example, what that would look like, pre-COVID and now.
Yeah, so during COVID, I'd say 21, 22, when interest rates were about 2.5%, 3%, you're looking at $1 million house, maybe $4,700 a month payment. Whereas now you're looking at probably over $6,000 payment for the same house.
Wow.
And the prices are the same as they were.
Wow.
So I think the idea was that we'll raise interest rates, prices are going to come down because of the affordability. But the inventory is pretty limited in San Diego, and it's a very desirable
You
city.
cannot just like build up. It's not New York City or any like major. Okay.
They're not adding enough housing here in San Diego, and a lot of people want to come to San Diego. It's a very desirable area. So prices haven't come down. We haven't gone up as much in prices as we typically have in the past.
Okay.
But they're not coming down really. So for a lot of people, the affordability isn't there. There are, however, a lot of different ways to be creative about it. And that's something where, working with an experienced agent versus a non-experienced agent really plays a big part.
Give us a little bit more. Is that because you know some locations or from previous people who try to sell their house and didn't? Like, what are like those things that,
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I think sellers are more negotiable right now than they were, when they had 20 or 30 offers, and I was in those situations many times during 21 and 22, even 40 and 50 offers on certain homes, which is pretty crazy.
Okay.
Now, you can't really negotiate much. The negotiation is really getting your client that house. That was the huge win.
Okay.
Whereas now, I negotiated $200,000 less than asking price for a client, and I got them.
That's a big chunk.
It's a big chunk.
Okay.
So, I think really trying to find out as much as you can about the seller or about the buyer. I represent both sellers and buyers. I do about 50-50.
Okay.
So it really, but if you are representing a buyer, you really want to know why the seller is selling, and a lot of as much information as you could get, and where the pressure points are. The other thing, I just negotiated a rate buy down. So
explain it to me and explain it to them too.
Yeah. So if you work with a good lender, which I work with a few good lenders, which I could recommend, you could actually buy down your rate. There's a certain amount of money that, let's say, if I pay $20,000, for example, then, for the first year or two, my rate's going to be not 6% like the average is, it will be 4%. So for the first couple of years, it would be more affordable. And then the hope is that in a couple of years, interest rates will come down. I could, refinance the home.
Wow. So many strategies that people typically don't hear about or are not aware, but you bring that value as an agent.
I'd say the last couple of years, I had to be more creative than ever.
Really?
And that's where, you're always learning. You're always talking to other agents. You're, the more deals you do, you're always learning. So it's very important to work with somebody who's experienced and has done a lot of deals and is doing this full time as, as a business and not, just kind of like a part-time thing.
Not as a part-time, like I'm a teacher and I'm real estate
and I'll sell a house for my mom once a year.
And I'm a yogi and I'm a healer and then I do some real estate and
I
stuff
see
like
some
that.
of those on Instagram. I'm a mom and I'm a teacher and I'm a this and that. And
We're now like in 2026, it's way after COVID. So I can imagine maybe there's like, more posting about real estate and more people out there making a lot of noise. What are some of the challenges that people experience right now as agents in real estate?
Yeah, so I definitely think, now you have Instagram and TikTok, and like you said, you could have a brand new agent who never sold a house, but he has a
look
great,
good and
he looks great on video, and he's it looks like he's successful, and you really, I think, differentiating yourself from somebody else has become a little bit more difficult. I think client relationship, which is something that I think I excel in, is extremely important. I have clients that I've done multiple deals with.
Okay.
I'm just doing a deal now with a client that I did a deal with 10 years ago.
Wow.
So I definitely keep in touch with my clients all the time. I try to text them, call them. If there's a birthday, I try to do client events. Really keep in touch with them.
Very cool.
And you got to do a good job. You have to do a good job. You also have to come with not just you, but if somebody's buying a house, you have to know the painter, you have to know an electrician, a contractor, all these different things that have really good relationships with, and you pass it on to your client, and it just makes the process easier for them.
And that could happen before and after the buying. Let's say someone wants to buy a house, they might want to get those professionals from you before to fix some stuff and then buy the house, or after, right after they move into?
Absolutely. And no house is perfect. None, not even the new construction.
I'm sure.
You're never going to find 100% of what you're looking for. So, if you're in like that 70 to 80%, take it. Absolutely. There's not a whole lot of inventory. So take what take it, and then just make it your own. So, when we're doing our inspection, many times I'm there also with a contractor who's walking through the house with my client and telling them what they could do, what the costs are going to be. I come with electricians, I come with, plumbers, stuff like that. I have really good inspectors. So that's during the process. So they really have a good idea of what it's going to cost them, not just the actual purchase, but what the total purchase is going to cost them, to bring it to where they want it to be. And then afterwards as well, I get calls 5 years later. Oh, can you recommend an HVAC person? So all the time. So it's very important to know these people, and to know how to tap into them.
Okay. And like when we met before, you mentioned that about a year ago you started a partnership, right? So
yeah,
you can tell us a little about that.
I met the love of my life a few years ago. We've been together for about 3.5 years,
Nice.
And we've been working together. She's also a realtor. She's been a realtor for 24 years now.
Wow.
And she rocks. So, and we get along really, really well.
Which is not easy.
Yeah,
to be in the same industry, in real estate, and together.
Yeah, it actually makes it pretty cool because we get to talk about real estate and we both love it. And sometimes it gets obnoxious when you're talking about work all the time. But for us, we know how to separate it, but we also we enjoy it. We like what we do. So we just closed a bunch of deals together this past year, and it worked really well. And I think it's a great service to our clients. Everybody brings their little expertise and the way they work, and so it works really well between us. I've always been available to my clients, probably more than I should. But
it's a relationship.
But
it's a relationship.
Now they're even getting more of it, because if I'm not available, then she is, and vice versa.
Very cool.
If you want to call me, you can call me at 619-739-0405.
Nice. And if they don't get you, they can get her.
They could get Dana. Yep.
Okay. Very cool. And then you mentioned that, sure, you talk about it, you love it, but you know how to separate. Take me to maybe a little bit of the fun things that you do here in San Diego when you're not working.
Yeah, so I'm a total San Diego advocate. I'm in love with the city.
Okay.
I can't see myself living anywhere else.
Okay.
Obviously the beaches are amazing. I love Del Mar Beach. I live a few minutes away.
Okay.
I love going to Poseidon, for example. It's a great restaurant on the beach. I love walks on the beach. If you have kids, you got so many different things over here. You got
Mm.
SeaWorld and Legoland and Disneyland is only about an hour away. You got the San Diego Zoo, which is, world class, one of the most famous zoos in the world.
Oh yeah.
And the weather here is, in my opinion, second to none. So,
Right.
even if you get a couple of days like we had last week
little
where
bit
it
of
was
rain.
raining,
No one is shoveling snow. No
I
complaints.
know.
Anyone listening on the East Coast or
I
something like
know.
that.
My cousin just sent me a picture of like 2 feet of snow, and and they were buried. And I just said, come out here.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So, making it work with your partner and loving San Diego across, between the beaches, restaurant, and
Mhm.
everything else that you like to do. And is there anything that maybe people who might want to buy or sell in this current market
Mhm.
needs to know, or maybe something that they should think of before obviously contacting you? Is there like anything that is happening that you're like, hey, you should be
Mhm.
aware of, A, B, C, something like that?
Yeah, I mean, it really, I always start with a consultation. And,
Oh,
what are you looking for? How many kids do you have? Do you have kids? Are you single? Or are you in a relationship? It could kind of guide me in the different neighborhoods that you might want to be in. If you're looking for schools, you might want to be in a particular neighborhood. I can't really advise on schools, but I'll send you to the right websites, and you could learn about the schools over there.
nice.
But it's really important to know the county, and I've sold anywhere from all the way down south, all in Chula Vista, all the way up to Oceanside.
Wow. Okay.
I try to focus on coastal. I try to be
Whew.
around the Del Mar, Carmel Valley, Encinitas, La Jolla areas,
Okay.
Solana Beach, but I'll go anywhere, and I sell everywhere. I do a lot of, Claremont, it depends what price point you're looking at. I think last year I sold a $400,000 condo, and I did like a $3 million house. So
Wow.
it varies.
That's a big range between them.
And we show houses in 4 or 5, 6 million, and we show condos for. It really doesn't matter. If you're looking, to me, you're a client for life.
Mm-hmm.
So.
That's pretty cool. And then you cover everything for them. Like you have the lenders for them. You have like you
Yeah.
said, the contractors or the other professionals take care of things in before and after.
Absolutely. I start with explaining the process. Once we write the offer, the initial offer, I'll explain the contract and how it works. I mean, there's so many different things that it's very important to know.
Okay.
About the contract, what your rights are, and if you want to get out of the contract, and stuff like that. There's the buy side, there's the seller sides. The contract. Funny enough, is a little bit more towards the buyers. So as a seller, you need to know that, and you need to know that to take the right offer, especially if you have multiple offers, you want to choose the right offer.
Okay.
So that you're not stuck with a buyer that's going to cancel on you. Anything could always happen, but you really want to, guide
Minimize
them
risk.
to minimize risk as much as possible. Yeah. So.
That's pretty cool. I mean, that's great. I can't wait. I need to check some more of the stuff that you mentioned, because I only been to like the 50% of the places that you mentioned. I'm doing well on the beaches, but all the other experiences, I definitely need to level up my game here in San Diego.
San Diego is such an outdoor space. And, for me, for example, I love to go to the gym in the morning, but we also have classes that we do outdoors. I love to do outdoor classes.
Nice.
There are hikes. There are just so many trails here. You have the coastal, but then you go inland, towards Poway and areas like that, where it's a totally different, environment, and there's just such beauty over there to check out as well. So we have such a great variety here in San Diego.
Yeah, I heard that there's options to do some wine tastings going east. I need to check it out. Have you have any experience?
There's wine tasting. Even in Rancho Bernardo, there's a winery. You could go there, have a wine tasting. Escondido has some great wineries right now.
Okay.
Temecula is just really, really good wineries.
So if buying a house becomes stressful, I can directly go to see the sunset over there, grab a wine over there, and you kind of balance your emotions. So
I try to do it as least stressful as possible, and that's why I'm available to my clients. I think as much as you could explain about the process, and the more clients understand about the process, the less stressed they'll be.
Of course, yeah.
But if you do need a drink, if you need a drink, I'll take you to happy hour.
Nice. Okay, that could lower the stress for sure. That's great. I'm sure you have more stories and more experiences, but we can always revisit maybe once a quarter, once a year to see give updates to people out there about what's going on in San Diego. But in the meantime, what are some of the ways that people can contact you beside the phone number?
I've got a website. My website, I make it very simple for people. It's amimarkowitz.com.
Okay.
Nothing fancy. Just you'll definitely remember that.
Very cool.
I'm on Instagram at Ami Markowitz Realtor. You can find me over there. I'm on Facebook, LinkedIn.
Nice.
But really, I'd say Instagram or my website. But I usually typically either pick up my phone or text you back. So phone is always a great way to reach me.
Sounds good. Yeah, I'm going to make sure that I have all the links to your website and all the other things as part of the podcast. Anything else that you want to share before we're closing up?
No. What do you want to know?
No, I think it's great. We shared plenty. I mean, you at least you have to come, you have to see, you have to participate. But I like it that you shared that they don't have to really be really super prepared. They come to you and you guide them. You ask them the question, then they give you, and then you go together into the process of buying the house. And each step you're gonna explain them. And even after they finish to buy the house, you can still support them with things, which is really nice. I imagine that you need to prepare so much stuff before, and the agent kind of just take you to see a few houses. But no, this is you're almost like a, how do you call it? Like a letterman. You have so many different tools that you can choose, right? So that's pretty cool. So I think not a lot of people know that, and that's really cool that you shared. So
thank you. I like to walk them. I hold their hand from start to finish, and even after I give them the key, or if I sold a house, if I represent a seller, we're in touch. And I'm usually available if you. Again, I get questions about everything, even attorneys. Do you know a good attorney? Anything. So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Nice. Thank you so
All right.
much.
Thank you so much.
Thanks
for having me.
Until next time.
I appreciate it.